All right. We get ready to get it in. White supremacy and Christianity is one and the same. As we proceed to give you what you need, that's that old Biggie Smalls. I like that beat. So-called black people, true Israelites of the Bible, man, are so talented. They they just so talented. I'd like to give a shout out to the Most High, Yahuwah, and to his son, Yahushua, who people call God and Jesus. Give him a shout out to them and give a shout out to all y'all fellow Israelites is out there. Wake up, so-called black people. Realize who you are. Get back to your heritage. Get back to your culture. Realize that this book that they call the Bible is about you and it's about your history. Once you realize that, the whole Bible opens up to you. The understanding comes very easy. The Holy Ghost, what people talk about in the church, comes to you too. And you will know all things. Not completely all things, but you will know a whole lot more than you know in the Christian church. But as you study and move forward, you learn the laws, the 10 Commandments, the laws, the statute laws and commandments, and how our culture and how that we did things according to the book of Leviticus, the priesthood. So you'll learn all these things once you realize who you are. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my team, Salt of the Earth, Brother Banyard, Brother Cleo, Brother Eric, Brother Kabar. Shalom to y'all brothers. I think Saturday we got something going on Saturday. Me and the Brother Eric, we're going to go back into the covenant and the law. So we got the second Exodus coming back out. So stay tuned for that. That is going to be pretty good. I think I sent the preview out to a couple of people. If you watched that a couple of weeks ago, we did a talking on that. He played the preview. But anyway, I love this music, but it's time to get into the word. Shalom, 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 Samantha. Sister Shalom. Okay, Shalom. Someone say shalom, someone say shalom. Okay, man. Let's I'm gonna get a shout out. I'm gonna send it. I'm waiting on a few more people to come in. And once they come in, I'm gonna get started. But I'm gonna wait a little long. I'm not gonna wait too long. Because hey, if you don't get this word, maybe you'll get it later on, whatever. My platform is not that big yet, and it doesn't matter. I'm not doing it to be fame and fortune or whatever you want to call it. But let me cut this down. I'm repeating. I'm looking at my phone. All right, time to get started. Time to get started. So today we're going to continue on. Shalom, shalom. So today we're going to continue on white supremacy and Christianity is one and the same. Now, all I'm going to do is go through 3 verses, just 3 today. 3 verses. But we're going to look at Psalms 49, verses 10, 11, and 12. Shalom, 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 Dimitri. Joel 3, verses 19, 20, 21. Zechariah 11 and verse 4 and 5. And each one of these scriptures we're going to go through, we're going to see what happened to Israel then, and we're going to compare what's happening to Israel now. When I say Israel, I'm talking about the so-called black people that were scattered to the four corners of the earth through slavery. So let's go to Psalms 147. And so we're going to start, we're talking about white supremacy and Christianity is one and the same. And we're going to see, we're going to compare it when I read Psalms 49, Psalms 49, and we're going to talk about the comparison. If anybody online have something to say, when I read it, bring it out, because once I read it, you're going to understand the comparison too. Once I read it, you can be like, oh, okay. So you got something to say, bring it out online, because like I said, we are still learning this thing. We're not like these pastors. Hey, you got something, bring it on. Something to say, bring it out. Okay, so Psalms 147. I'm just going to read. It's a very good chapter. You have a chance to read it. It's a Psalms of Korah, the sons of Korah, and they breaking it down, giving their little song, praying a little music, like the Israelites do, the so-called black people do. So when you read, it's a very good chapter. Check it out. But I'm just going to read verses 10, 11, and 12. Let me put my glasses on so I can make sure I can see. For he said that wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish, leave their wealth to other. Their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, their dwelling places to all generations. They call their land after their own names. Nevertheless, men being in honor abides not. He is like the beasts that perish. Now let's go back to verse 11. Listen what it says. Their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. Now, if we look at history, I have to ask one person that the history that we live in today, what group of people or nation call lands and continents after their own name? I mean, if this right here was a test, and according to the people I know who grew up in, everybody would make an A. This is very simple. We know good and well around the whole world today, Europeans has named the land after their own name. Every land that they conquer was named after them. That's what they did. So this is one thing that white supremacy don't want you to know, don't want us to know. You got people over here, of course, they call us African Americans. African Americans. That's two Europeans' names, Afrikaans and American. So when we say African American, that's not, that land wasn't called Africa. That land was called Kush. Now, when you say Ethiopia, that's another European name, but it was called Kush at one time. I mean, Kush translated over the European name, Ethiopia. Also, it was never called Egypt. That's another name, European name. This is what white supremacy do. And like when I was doing the debate with Brother Alton on a couple Saturdays ago, and we was talking about Egypt, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, it says you will be taken back to Egypt. Egypt, if you look it up in the Strong's, where you look it up in Hebrew, all it means is bondage. These are the European names replacing the real name. The real names of the land is Mizraim or Kemet. It's very simple. Anybody can look that up. I mean, it's very simple. Never was called Egypt. But when you in white supremacy Christianity, you believe what they say without no research. This guy, he was giving you this scholar and that scholar, but he wasn't showing you what the scholar said. So when I asked him, you will believe everything what your oppressors tell you. So what white supremacy has done in Christianity is they took and conquered all these lands and put their name on it. So when we look at names like Africa, Africanus, that's a European name, or Ethiopian, European name, even Hebrew, European name, even more for the more Negroes, it's European, all that's European. So we see through history in the Bible, according to Psalms of 49, that's what's going to happen. It happened then and it happened again now. What they did, every place they conquered, they changed the name. Why they got to change the name? Now, when we was in captives and when we was slaves in Spain and Portugal, guess what they did? They changed our names then. And guess what? They changed our names when we came over here. They changed the land's names. They changed our name. I mean, just like I heard, what's his name? Malcolm X, he was teaching, and he said, "What is your name? Where did you come from? What type of food did you eat?" He said Johnson and James, and I'm just naming European names. I don't know exactly when he called them out. That ain't your name. He said, "Where we come from, we don't call ourselves Johnsons and James and Tom, and these not our names." So what the prophecy is Psalms 49 verses 10, 11, and 12 explain to us how white supremacy took and changed the names of the lands, each land they conquered. We know they conquered basically the whole world for right now. So now, but what's a precept to that? Well, if you go to the book of Matthew, a lot of people don't read the Apocrypha, especially in Christianity, because the oppressors, they say, "Oh, don't read the Apocrypha, it's a bad book, don't believe in it." But the Apocrypha goes a step farther. The precept to that, it says that they thought to change the image of the law, the image of us to them. And that's what they did. That's why you see white Jesus, white God, white angels, because this is what they got to change the land mass to their names, and they changed the images to look like them. That's a precept to, I think it's First Maccabees 3. I need to find that, but I think it's First Maccabees 3. But a lot of people in Christianity don't read the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha are books between Malachi and the book of Matthew. They took them out. Now, why did white supremacy take these books out of the Bible? Because these books explain more detail who the real children of Israel, who they are. It explains a lot of stories in the Genesis that we don't know. So when people in Christianity, when they say, "Oh, don't read that book," they going by what the oppressors told them. And so instead of them doing research and looking at the book, they just believe what they say. It's sad. It's very sad how you let somebody put stuff in your head without doing no research. That's what they do. So we know, like I live near DC, they got the slave Bible, and you ought to see that. It's this small. All the stuff they took out of the slave Bible. Now, if they took all that stuff, I mean books that we read in this Bible today, they took them out, and that's what because they trying to promote slavery and saying it was okay. That's what they was doing. So if they did that in the slave Bible, why would you believe them? They tell you not to read the Apocrypha, the other books they took out. Anyway, let's go on. Joel chapter 3. Now, Joel chapter 3, and I got a precept right after that I'm going to read. But Joel chapter 3 is very, very good. So, Joel chapter 3, let's talk about our time. somebody read this and try to say it's talking about Egypt long time ago, they got a lot to explain. So Joel chapter 3, verse 19 reads, Egypt shall be desolation, and Edom shall be desolate, wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generations to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleaned, for the Lord dwells in Zion. Now, we know today that a lot of so-called black people is getting killed left and right. And we also know that the America land is called what? Egypt and Sodom, spiritual Egypt or Sodom, and part of Babylon the Great. We know this. This is why you see on the dollar, what do you see? You see a pyramid and an eye on the back of the dollar. If you got a dollar bill, you look, man, find my wallet. My wallet down here. I think I got a dollar in there I can show you. But anyway, if you look on the back of a dollar bill, you'll see a pyramid and you'll see an eye. It's talking about Egypt. America is called Egypt in the slang lane. Because why? Egypt means bondage. Edom, who is Edom? Edom is the children of Esau. What do the children of Esau do? They're going to always try to have us in bondage. Now, who had us in bondage last? Who still got us in bondage now? Now, we see today, it says that, I'm going to go back and read the scripture. Joel 3:19, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Now, let's go back up and see what it's talking about when it says Judah. Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. See? Judah, of course, is us, and Jerusalem, the other Israelites. We're scattered to the four corners of the earth. And what it's talking about here, how in the lands that we at in bondage, the word Egypt means bondage. Please, you can look it up. It's very simple. How the Edomites killed us, innocent, shed innocent blood in their land. This is why white supremacy Christianity don't preach on this stuff. This is in the Bible, but they ain't going to these scriptures because it mess with them. So they got to have every bit of turn us away. This is why you go to white supremacy Christianity church. They tell you, don't read the Old Testament. It's done away with. It's a lie. But that's what they tell you. So now the precept to that is very, very knowing. Once you read this precept, you're going to know off top that what's going on that we see is talking about us. So let's go to the precept. Not going to be long, Okay, I've been online with 21 minutes or 18 minutes. I like to be short because I like for everybody to get this while they ain't got to say, let me go back and look for a whole hour, and you can get tired of looking at something. When it's short and nice, you can go bam, 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 and you get it. So let's go to the book of Zechariah. Now, I like using the Bible because all this technology, I can just put it up on the phone. But if you do that, it kind of mess you up when you look at the Bible. Zechariah chapter 11. Let's go to verse 5. Zechariah chapter 11, very good book. Please read it. Not hiding it. Please read it. Get a chance. Whole chapter. Zechariah chapter 11, verse 5 reads, whose possessors slay them and hold them not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherd pitied them not. Now, What's going on in the time that we living in? We see cops killing us, all kinds of stuff going on. Guess what? They find themselves not guilty. They were our oppressors. The oppressors slayed thee, possess slay thee, and find themselves not guilty. This is what's going on in the land. This is why white supremacy and Christianity won't teach on this. They won't preach on this. They'll say, forgive them, forgive them, forgive them. The Bible says, forgive your brother, forgive your neighbor. It's not talking about us forgiving people out here that's killing us. It's not talking about us having people in slavery. That's not what it's talking about. But this is the stuff that they'll tell you. And this is why. Because Esau in Hebrews chapter 12, read it for yourself. Esau was the one crying for forgiveness because he did not accept the covenant or the blessing. And they went to Jacob, the other twin brother, which is our forefather, and he couldn't find no place of forgiveness. This is why Esau want everybody to forgive. See, this is the stuff that, please read Hebrews 12. And when you read it, you're going to see you see what I'm talking about. Go to Hebrews 12. You'll see what Esau did. He sold his birthright. And then he couldn't find no place of forgiveness. And that's what white supremacy tells us. But let's go when Jesus said, hear ye Israel in the Gospels, forgive your brother, forgive your neighbor. He's not talking about forgive the ones that had you in captivity. He's talking about forgive your fellow brother. Why? In case he would have says, forgive the Babylonians, forgive the Persians. That's not what he's talking about. Why? Because so-called black people, we fight against one another day in, day out. We gel against one another day in, day out, which that is part of the curses that's on us. But once you realize this, you wake up from that mess and you do away with that mess. But if you're not awakened yet, you still in white supremacy Christianity, you ain't going to wake up. So the book of Leviticus, I'm going to read this. This is where Jesus is talking about in the Old Testament. This is why white supremacy Christianity tell you, don't read Old Testament. But the Old Testament tells you what he's talking about in the New. So Leviticus chapter 19, verses 18 says, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. See, the children of the people is the Israelites. We don't supposed to hold a grudge against one another. We're supposed to love one another. He is the Elohim telling us what we're supposed to do. But white supremacy tells you, oh, somebody come in your house, blow up your family, kill your mama, spit on your dog, kill your little baby, feed them to alligators, and you're supposed to forgive them. Because that's the lies that they teach us, and they make us weak. That's how we are so weak as a people, because we are the most forgiving people that you can find in the world. So this is white supremacy and Christianity, one in the same part too. I was going to talk a little more about the debate with Alton, but it's really no need to. This guy is saying white supremacy Christianity has no understanding of the scriptures. This is all. Shalom. But I'm going to play a little music before I go. Right here. I can find it. Try to find it. Because as we proceed to give you what you need, that's what we need to always be able to do in this Israelite walk. We shall be able to give you what you need, give you the scripture so you can read it for yourself. When you read it for yourself, you can't say, I said it or they said it. We forgive and forget even people that even ask for forgiveness. Well, I tell you what, according to Leviticus, I don't know what he's talking about. According to Leviticus 19, Jesus is talking to the Hamashiach. Yeah, course, you can forgive Edomites. Oh, well, if you want to forgive them, you can forgive the other nations. But what Jesus is talking about is telling us to forgive one another. You can read Leviticus chapter 19 for yourself. Start at verse 18 or 17, 18, 19. Read it. I think it's what is Atamas training. Lord have mercy. You want to come on live and have a debate? As we proceed to give you what you need. This person must be. Oh, okay. Okay, he said, sorry. I said, okay, brother. I was wondering what. Tomorrow's training. Okay. Shalom, brother. I think I understand what you're saying. I was like, oh Lord. Shalom, brother. He's a brother. So, but you know, one thing about us, we're going to get that blessing at the end. We just got to realize and understand these prophecies that's talking about us. And the main thing for us to do is to read the scriptures, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Now, also, when we read prophecy, we can look at history when it's applied to us. And what I'm talking about, this is why when you see people in white supremacy Christianity, they can't break down the book of Daniel. They have no idea, not talking junk about it. It's the way we was taught in slavery all the way up to now. And so when they look at these beasts, they don't know what it means. When they look at these kingdoms, they don't know what it means. And we know it's 8 kingdoms. And we also know this. Each kingdom had us in slavery. If you get a chance, y'all, go look at Salt of the Earth video. When it's talking about the 400-year prophecy, because I do a breakdown on that when I'm doing a debate with this guy. And he had nothing for that breakdown because we know it was 8 beasts, and we know each beast had Israel in slavery. I can do the, I'm going to do, you know, when you look at that, you'll see, when you look at that video, you see, when you look at the scriptures, Daniel chapter 7, we know that Daniel saw 4 beasts. Chapter 7 started at verse 1, which is Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. And then the revived Rome Empire still had us in slavery. We ran it in 70 AD when they came to conquer us. We ran deep down in Africa from trying to run and hide from that persecution. And then we thought we was living pretty good. Was down there in Africa. We built Timbuktu and all that. But you know, Timbuktu is in northern Africa, which is near not far from Egypt. And guess what happened in 642 AD when the Ottoman Empire came over there, basically took over the so-called, took over, you know, Ishmaelites and brought this Arab and all that stuff over there. And they started to enslave us. Then they moved towards Spain and Portugal, which we got there during the Babylon slavery. Babylon slavery, a lot of King Nebuchadnezzar sent us to Spain and Portugal. That's why Paul is talking about, I need to come there to see y'all. When you read the books of Paul, I think it's in Romans. And Spain and Portugal started to enslave us in 1455 AD, which has 6 beasts. So you got the Arab slave trade, the 5th beast. Spain and Portugal, the 6th beast. Great Britain, the 7th, which is 1619. And then America and Great Britain, the same people. We know America came out of Great Britain 4th of July, 1776, which goes all the way up. To 2019. And now we're living in the judgments, 2021. We've seen what's been going on. It's some crazy stuff, the coronavirus. We've seen all kind of water turn to blood. We see other nations turn. This is the judgments on the other nation. We know the coronavirus wasn't just here; it was all over the world. Anyway, I'm getting off my topic tonight. I just want people to understand this is the stuff white supremacy and Christianity will not teach you, because white supremacy and Christianity is one and the same. Shalom and peace as we proceed to give you what you need.